It is a real pleasure to speak today about the work of the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights, the FRA, and the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights. It is especially important to do so to an audience that is so key to the current situation, in which we see a crisis of democracy alongside eroding commitments to the Paris climate commitments. The agency's mission is to assist EU institutions and member states in ensuring that all laws, policies and practices respect the rights and freedoms enshrined in the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights. This means providing evidence and practical guidance to make fundamental rights a reality in people's everyday lives. Freedom of expression and access to information are at the heart of both democracy and fundamental rights protection. Article 11 of the Charter guarantees these freedoms, which are so integral to a vibrant civic space, a space which is increasingly under pressure in some EU member states. FRA continuously monitors the civic space across the Union, highlighting both good practices and emerging threats. The EU Charter is the EU's Bill of Rights. It is the normative backbone of the EU, and it is one of the most modern and encompassing human rights catalogues. It goes far beyond freedom of expression and information, although very important. You find in the Charter many rights of immediate interest for journalists, ranging from freedom of assembly and association to the right to access to documents. It also includes rights that are particularly relevant to your discussions today, for example, Article 37, which recognizes the need for high level of environmental protection. Investigative journalists play an essential role as watchdogs in the protection and promotion of fundamental rights by exposing violations, corruption, and negligence related to environmental policies and practices. They help to ensure transparency and accountability. However, their work often encounters significant obstacles, including the rising wave of strategic lawsuits against public participation, the so-called SLAPs, which are increasingly used as intimidation tactics to silence critical voices and undermine democratic debates. In response, the EU has introduced instruments such as the Anti-SLAP Directive, designed to enhance procedural safeguards for journalists and activists, to protect freedom of expression and prevent abusive litigation. Integrating these protections into international climate commitments will be vital for fostering a safe environment where journalists and activists can expose climate abuses and advocate for urgent, rights-based climate action. As you know, climate change itself is increasingly recognized as a human rights issue. It affects the enjoyment of a wide range of rights, from health and housing to equality and participation. And journalists have a vital role to play here. By raising awareness and connecting environmental realities with human stories, they deepen public understanding and help the public to see climate action not only as a policy goal, but as a moral and legal obligation grounded in human dignity. This is all the more essential in this era of disinformation and polarization. So if you want to learn more about the role of the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights, please join us at the third edition of our online Charter Exchange, which will take place on the 8th and 9th of December. There we will discuss many interesting topics, including climate litigation. I also invite you to keep an eye on FRA's publications. For instance, we will soon publish a report on ensuring non-discrimination, participation and accountability in the EU climate and energy transition in the housing sector. Finally, take a look at our online charter tools, in particularly Charterpedia, a single source for information about the fundamental rights you have under EU law. To conclude, your work and the work of the Fundamental Rights Agency coincide well to remind us all that fundamental rights are not abstract principles. They are living guarantees that underpin our democracies and guide our collective response to challenges like climate change. For journalists, these rights are the foundation of their ability to speak truth to power. And for all of us, they are the cornerstone of a free, fair and sustainable Europe. I wish you all the very best for a constructive discussion today, and I thank you.